Hello. So this video is going to be on the sweet potatoes. We've already planted them just because they take a lot of time. There were a lot of them. We had a lot of sweet potatoes to plant, but I just wanted to show you how we did it. Now, not all of these I doubt are going to make it. Some of them were kind of small. I don't know how they're going to do. They look all right so far. But you can see the bigger ones. These guys are bigger, but we have smaller ones like this guy and this guy right here. But what I do is I plant them about, I'm gonna say 8 to 12 inches apart. They don't have to be super far apart, but they have to be far apart because you have to think about how sweet potatoes grow. They grow like a potato, so the middle part where the vine comes from is what you're going to pull up, and all of the sweet potatoes are just going to kind of be in a bunch right there. Now they can get bunched out, so what I do is I plant them so they have plenty of space around them to grow more. All these vines, and you'll see in a couple months, these vines are all going to just take over this whole area. Sweet potatoes don't need, they actually don't do well in really good soil. They don't need fertilizing, they don't need anything. You just plant them and leave them. You don't want to put them in your best bed if you're gonna do them in a raised bed. I did them in the ground, probably because we have a lot of worms. There's probably too much nutrients in this area. What happens when you have too much, the vines get really big. They produce flowers, which you don't want, and then the potatoes themselves don't get very big. So what I do, last year I had an issue because I planted them in leaf composted garden soil. There was a lot of nutrients for them, and the vines just went absolutely crazy, and they started producing these beautiful purple flowers. I pick all the flowers off. I don't let them even think about trying to produce the flowers. You don't want all of their energy going into flowering. You want their energy and their thoughts going into making the potatoes bigger. So you just take that off. You don't let them. And my potatoes did really well. I had to harvest them early because we were moving, but they did really well. And so just pick the little flowers off. You don't want to cut the vines down. You want the vines to grow. And like I said, they're going to take over this whole area, and I'll show you guys whenever it happens. This whole area, even if half of these potatoes die, it's just going to be covered in sweet potato vines. That's a lot of the reason why we did them in the ground this year, because we didn't want them taking over an entire bed. So this way they have this whole space right here to take over. They can go that way a little bit. They can all just take over that way, and they can come this way some. So, and then they're right beside the okra and the corn, so they can kind of grow in there, and they won't really take over the okra and the corn, because that's going to be, by the time this starts to really get big, the okra and the corn, which are already, I'm gonna say at least, the corn is at least an inch, maybe 2 inches tall, and it just shot up overnight last night. I mean, it's probably twice the height that it was yesterday when we were out here, and it's just, they're doing amazing. So they're just shooting up. The okra takes a little bit longer, but now that it's getting warmer, they're starting to get bigger. But it's just gonna get really tall, it's gonna shoot up, and the sweet potatoes can grow in there, but they're not gonna hurt anything. But I'm going to train them and try to get them all to come this way where I want them to grow, but plants don't always do what you want them to do. So, but I have them right beside my tomato bed. So that way I can keep them out of this bed easily, because my tomatoes are going to go up. They're not going to grow out. I'm going to try to not let them fall over. A couple of mine fell over last year, and they just went absolutely crazy. So I'm going to try not to let these fall over, but the sweet potatoes can just go crazy. And then in, let's see, probably September or October, when the vines start to kind of yellow and die, I'll start digging these up. I'll do one plant at a time to see what the potatoes look like. So I'll start in a corner probably, dig those up, see if they're the size that I want. If they are, harvest all of them. If that plant is potatoes are not how I want them, I'm just gonna leave them for a couple more weeks and let them get a little bit bigger and do the same thing. They're still edible if they're smaller than what you want, but we like big potatoes. The smaller potatoes I'm gonna save for next year's harvest, for next year's growing season. So I'll put those in water like I did this year, get the slips off of them and put them in water, root them, plant them. All these potatoes are from sweet potatoes that I grew last year. So just the water that it took to root and sprout these guys is all that I've had to pay for, which is great. It's really exciting. And eventually, so gardening can be expensive, but eventually it will pay off in the long run. It takes a while. It is, especially when you do raised beds. The beds are expensive to buy. But when you get the sweet potatoes, so I bought the first plants that I had, I bought them. But it's been 3 years, I think, that I have not had to buy any more. So from the original plants that I bought, I've gone 2 more years. This is year 2 of not having to buy any sweet potatoes. So that's starting to pay off. This year, my goal is to get enough sweet potatoes to get us through the season. We eat a lot of sweet potatoes, so I want to be able to buy them. My sweet potatoes last year got us through January, I think. I'm growing a lot more than I did then. So I'm hoping this gets us through the season and we won't have to buy any sweet potatoes. Now it is a lot of work. You got to be able to do the work. You got to be willing to do the work. But to me, it's completely worth it. I know what I'm putting into my garden. I know what I'm getting out of my garden. I don't have to worry about buying something from the store that's just covered in who knows what. They put stuff on sweet potatoes. They put stuff on potatoes, like a chemical that prevents them from sprouting. Well, why? Why would you want that? So I don't have that. I grow my own potatoes. I'm growing my own sweet potatoes, and I really, really want to be able to not buy any in the next year. So I'm growing a lot more than I used to. That being said, it doesn't take a lot of space. As long as you can handle the vines, which can grow on concrete, they can grow on grass, or you can put them in a pot as long as the pot is big enough, and let the vines grow out and over the pot, and then you've got your own little pot of sweet potatoes for the winter. That's pretty awesome. So grow you some, see how it goes. You don't have to do a lot of plants if you're just starting out. Just try it with one, see how it goes, see if you like it. Sweet potatoes, to me, are one of the easiest things to grow. Now that's not everybody's case. Some people have a really hard time, but for me, it's super easy. You sprout them in your house out of a potato, plant it in the ground, and then I do nothing other than pick the flowers off the rest of the year. So it's really nice, but that's about it. These guys are in here. I'll do a video just to show you, but I'm not going to do anything with them until it's time to really harvest them, and I will show you that as well, which is super fun. So if you have any questions, don't forget to ask. Please subscribe. Have a good day. Bye.